Getting beat up by 9 guys in Syracuse, to me, there's not a whole lot of shame.
Welcome to the Heel to the Face podcast.
And this right here,
with your hosts, Jared Wicks, Brandon Icebreaker Clements, and Paul Boy Green Esden.
It doesn't matter what your name is. And that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Texas. Best there is, the best there was, or the best there ever will be.
Brett screwed Brett because it's what's best for business.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. The champ is here. Oh yeah, new day rock. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for ya.
Tweet us using the handle @HeelToTheFace.
Woo! Let's get ready to suck it.
The bell is rung, so let's step in the ring with your hosts, Paul, Brandon, and Jared.
Might as well tag me up with my buddies from Syracuse.
Heel to the Face podcast is on the air. We are on the road to WrestleMania now, just a few weeks away. We're joined as always with Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. You can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21. Myself, Jared, just Jared Wicks on Twitter. And most importantly, follow the program on Twitter at Heel to the Face. That's where you'll find everything you need to know. No need for a website. We got it all there. And without further ado, on the road to WrestleMania with so much to talk about, let's get to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening
with a 20-minute time limit.
So much to talk about. Fastlane is now in the rearview mirror. Nothing but WrestleMania ahead of us. And I have to say, and I've said it before, this has to be the first WrestleMania that I can remember in my lifetime. I've heard rumors of ones way back in the day, the early 80s, you know, the first WrestleManias. But this is the first one maybe in my lifetime that I can recall where the build to WrestleMania, we're a few weeks out and there's so many matches that are still, is that going to happen? That's not official yet. You know, for example, The Undertaker and John Cena. John Cena calling out The Undertaker this past week on Monday Night Raw. But again, this is stuff that in years past would happen first week of February, the night after the Royal Rumble. You know, give us a month for The Undertaker to respond.
Wait. Last minute. That's the thing. Why would you wait to the last minute to do this? This is like the worst thing. Wait it. Like, why wait?
This is essentially a once-in-a-lifetime match, and that's what you could bill it as. You know, that's what they like to put the taglines on it. You know what I mean? Like Beast versus Big Dog. You know, they could put this under this match once in a lifetime. But I feel that, you know, it's not going to get the hype because of the fact that it's built. You know, this needs hype. This needs a month. This needs John Cena and The Rock needed a whole year. Didn't maybe need a whole year, but they gave it a whole year. And that's what kind of made that match huge. And this match could be similar because there's no titles on the line. There's really nothing on the line. It's just a dream match.
Legend versus legend.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Do you really want to see it? I don't. I'm not
I
excited.
said this on Twitter. I put it on the Heel to the Face Twitter account, and that's I'm going to WrestleMania, and I am probably going to wear a Undertaker shirt sometime during that weekend. But by no means do I actually want to see Undertaker compete at WrestleMania.
Absolutely not. You don't. Who does? I mean, we've talked about it from the beginning, from our first episode last year. We've all been saying it. Undertaker just needs to retire. Like, why don't they just find something else?
And
for John
I know
Cena?
he can't wrestle forever, but I would be more accepting if you let his retirement, essentially his quote unquote retirement last year, let the dust settle a little bit before we bring him back. I mean, because now if he comes back and wrestles at WrestleMania 34. I mean, are those thank you Taker shirts, what are they, free now on Shop Zone? Because that's essentially what they were.
Well, it's like
or those thank you Taker urns they were selling, all that commemorative, like, quote-unquote retirement stuff.
Just think of it this way.
Is now garbage.
Think of it this way. If he comes back, it's the equivalent of, if you're watching the Super Bowl, you have, like this past year you had the Eagles and the Patriots. Mm-hmm. It's like they make both shirts, but the loser, you just send it to some, third world country. So that's how, to me, it equals nothing. It is free because that's a waste. Why? I mean, I
had all that Undertaker retirement stuff.
I mean, it's good for business. I get that. It's good for business, but it's not. It's like it's all these bands out there having farewell tours, and then they come back the next year or 2 years later. It's like you're just doing it to drive up the price. That's what it really is. They're just it's all a grand scheme of things to make money. That's really what it comes down to.
Now there might be a little caveat in the sense of WWE trying to save himself in that retirement angle, and that's if he comes back, he won't be coming back as the recent Undertaker that we've had, he'll be coming back as the
motorcycle.
Dead Man.
Oh, I was going to say, what, the motorcycle? No, motorcycle?
Well, I mean, that's part of the Dead Man gimmick, so maybe, yes.
The American Badass?
So the Dead Man might actually have wrestled his final match at WrestleMania 33, but the Mark Calloway Undertaker might not be done yet, and we might see him at WrestleMania 34 against John Cena.
No, it doesn't matter. It's still Undertaker. I don't care if he's the American Badass. No. It needs, he's done. Like, why? I mean, here's the other thing, and I know you hate John Cena. You can say that all you want. You don't like John Cena, but do you want to see him in a match with Undertaker? I don't. I think it's just a waste of his talent. I think John Cena can still wrestle. He can wrestle against the Randy Ortons of the world, but you're wasting John Cena Undertaker at this point. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous.
I think a lot of this stems from the fact that they had the idea of John Cena versus Undertaker months ago. Then they decided to change the idea up to be John Cena versus Rey Mysterio, and it looked like the Undertaker would not be ready to compete in time. And then Rey Mysterio gets hurt last minute at this house show before they ever announced either one. So essentially now they're pushing. I feel that here's how it was going to go. Again, it was going to be Undertaker, and then it was going to be Rey Mysterio. And then as soon as Rey Mysterio got hurt, they had to buy themselves some time and threw John Cena into those title matches and those number one contender matches. But if Rey Mysterio didn't get hurt, I feel after he lost at Elimination Chamber, then he would have challenged Rey Mysterio right then and there, and then that's how the storyline would have gone. But then Rey Mysterio got hurt real quick.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And they didn't have time to find out if Undertaker was going to be ready in time. So in order to kill some time, they threw him into the Fastlane one. And then now Fastlane's over. I feel they've gotten in contact with Undertaker since. Now they're like, okay, we can go ahead with the Undertaker.
But here's the thing. Do you think he's actually going to be ready? I mean, I guess, I mean, it was funny because John Cena made a point that he's like, yeah, I see the videos of him working out on, I think it was Michelle McCool's Instagram, I believe.
Yeah.
Is he really going to be that ready?
And that might be a reason why they do the badass gimmick, because he's trying to call him out kind of the same way that we saw Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns kind of feuding.
So do you think he rolls out, down the ramp to down the WrestleMania ramp?
Well, I mean, Kid Rock is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So we are, first off,
maybe a live Kid Rock.
So we already have the song in which is the one used to count down the number of days being a Kid Rock song. We have the song to hype up the matches themselves being a Kid Rock song. So I could easily see definitely Kid Rock doing multiple performances, multiple songs.
You think
at WrestleMania, and on top of that, being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
You think that's a possibility where he comes out and he performs for Undertaker while Undertaker comes down on the bike? You think that's the possibility right now?
I definitely could see that as a possibility for sure.
I mean that would be the best part.
And you know what? Those are the best. To be honest with you, those are my favorite ways to use musical performances.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, don't get me wrong, the Pitbull thing, I'm not 100% against that. It's a catchy song. It was a great song for WrestleMania last year, and I'm not 100% against a musical performance like P. Diddy at MetLife Stadium a couple years ago, but I enjoy them much more thoroughly when they're ingrained in the product.
I agree. I'm 100% behind you. I think that's the way it should be, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When Kid Rock's he's done it many times.
Motorhead singing Triple H to the ring.
Yes.
Or
that was good stuff.
Living Color, that one year they sang CM Punk to the ring.
Yep. It was Cult's Personality. Oh yeah, good stuff.
And that helps kind of change the feeling of WrestleMania. That's, again, people say, like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is because they come out to pre-recorded music, they come out to that is to me one of the best ways to make an elaborate gimmick or elaborate entrance is having them do that. And I understand, like, Pitbull did not have anybody's theme song, but that's where I want to see musical performances. I want to see musical performances in them performing their song.
Put it in.
That's when
the product.
That's when Stephanie McMahon can use her quote. It's a rock concert mixed with a sporting event. That's when it really would be. That would, instead of being like having a halftime performance at the Super Bowl, each team comes out to their theme songs by the bands that sang them, instead of just having an arbitrary performance.
But the issue with that is not that many superstars nowadays. They just have generic music. They do, and it's not like it's like Triple H has Motorhead. You know what I mean? I mean, Randy Orton, I believe his is still Rev Theory, if I'm not mistaken. There's a few out there, but the problem is there's so much generic music.
And I feel those would be cheaper too. I feel getting Rev Theory to perform at WrestleMania, getting 3 Rev Theories essentially to perform at WrestleMania. Kid Rock's kind of up there, but getting 3 all the bands that are used in the Dean Ambroses or the Seth Rollins songs would be cheaper than getting one Pitbull to perform a song.
Yeah, I agree. Rev Theory, I mean, they're out there.
It's kind of how rock concerts work. Obviously, a Pitbull ticket costs more money than it costs to go see a rock concert, which has Rev Theory and 65 other bands.
And here's the thing, Rev Theories, I mean, I wouldn't say they're well known, but there's, in the rock community, they're known. They have a few songs out there. And I mean, I believe Voices is performed by them, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, it would be cool if Randy Orton came out and you hear the the lead singer from Rev Theory playing singing Voices, and I think that's cool. But the problem is I would say 90% of the music that comes through the entrance music, it's all
I mean, that's how
produced.
it's always mostly been, except for that year of Aggression. I mean, we can bring that back. That would be great. Everyone having theme songs by musical performances.
That's the way I think it should be. That way.
Definitely, without a doubt, to this day, the WWE Aggression or Forcible Entry. They both were. Those are the two best. Forcible Entry and Aggression. Those are the two best wrestling albums that have ever been produced because they're music.
Yeah, it was like, I think Stone Cold had it was a heavy rock song for Stone Cold.
Yeah, Our Lady Peace was in there.
Yeah,
we don't want to say who they. I yelled at Our Lady Peace at concert recently that I went to. Are you going to play the Chris Benoit theme song? They did not play that.
Yeah, I was going to say that that probably will not be. I mean, he's deleted from everything. Deleted. So it would be cool if they did something like that, but I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you.
But either way, so that's where I like to see performances the best. So it looks like that's how we're going to get The Undertaker. Kid Rock performing. One thing I want to just say quick about Kid Rock, and this isn't a diss to Kid Rock, but talking about kind of repeating the same place we had WrestleMania a few years ago. I mean, it's only been 4 years since we had WrestleMania in New Orleans. They really didn't do much to try to switch it up from WrestleMania 30 because of that fact that the song used to hype up the matches is the exact same song from WrestleMania 30. So when you see Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar in the package to hype up that WrestleMania 30 match, that's the same, not just same artist, the same exact song.
Where's the creativity?
Again, the WWE is on this slippery slope where one day we're losing pyro, and then it just is. One day we're losing unique entrance ways, then it's pyro, and then it's just on this slippery slope where WrestleMania now is using the same music again.
Are we gonna go to like how Dolph Ziggler comes out now, where it's just like that, and then he comes out, and then the music plays? Are we gonna do like so without the music though? It's just gonna be walk out. Like, what are they gonna do? Not have entrance music down the line?
You don't know where they're going to cut the line. WWE has just been on this, as of the last 2.5 years, 3 years, just on this like fast slope of just being so generic. I mean, I can't even get you started on the MS Paint words on the screen when wrestlers are coming out or speaking in the back. I mean, we don't need that. We don't ask for that nonsense. Me personally, I hate it. I mean, it'd be one thing if you added that with everything else I want, but the fact that you get rid of pyro and you get rid of entrance ways and other uniqueness, and then you add in this more cartoonish stuff, it's going the wrong direction for me.
I don't mind. See, I don't mind the the little graphics that come up, like when like Braun Strowman says a word, it like pops up on the screen. I like that, but to your point, why spend your money on that if you're not going to have, you get rid of pyro, but you're going to spend your money on that?
I mean, that probably costs less than pyro, but and
but
here's
still,
why
it's still
I think that's
though.
stupid, because the best segment this week in WWE, I'm not going to say the best segment, but a very, very good segment would definitely be how Monday Night Raw opened up. And they couldn't, and they shouldn't have definitely put any MS Paint words there, because the whole idea was breaking that fourth wall and being, quote unquote, more realistic. That's why the Braun Strowman thing, we know that's not really coming from Braun Strowman, because they had to create it before he even said it. That's how you know that these are 100% scripted promos, because word for word, they have to actually put the words on the screen.
Yeah, they're not that
Roman
good.
Reigns showed us this past week of what we like in wrestling, and that's we don't want to know that literally every word out of your mouth is 100% scripted, or at least make it feel like it's not 100% scripted.
It was a work, though.
I understand it's a work, but the idea behind it is, yes, it's a work. It's all a work. It's all scripted.
They're not. There's no way they're going to get. I mean, here's the thing. It's funny because some people are so gullible.
I'm not gullible, but I like it.
Well, no, I'm saying it's like, oh, is this going to really affect the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match? No, it's not going to do anything. This is all. It's all. People don't get it. It's all the work. He'll be back before he'll be back. I already. I mean, we were texting the back and forth. I think Roman's back next week.
You think Roman's back next week? I see. I thought this would like kind of an idea of keeping them away from each other, and then maybe so they only have one face-to-face the night or the week before WrestleMania.
Well, Brock's going to be there. Brock and Paul are going to be there.
Because they've already had a lot of face-to-faces when they fought at WrestleMania 31. So maybe in order to keep this one different is the idea of having Roman on and then having him suspended to bring in Brock Lesnar for real.
I think how I think it's going to happen is, they're going to talk about, Roman Reigns won't be here tonight. And then like Brock Lesnar and Paul, they cut a promo like they normally do. And then on the screen on the Titantron, you see somebody pulling into the back of the, they have a camera, positioned right where people are pulling in. And who is it? It's Roman Reigns. And then people are trying to stop him. He gets to the ring and they just start brawling and set up a really good. That's how, remember they did that before, I think it was last year, where they had the whole roster have to separate the guys. They might go back to that well again. WWE's known to repeat things, like you just said with the music. So something like that would not surprise me at all for Monday Night Raw.
No, definitely when somebody's quote unquote suspended or banned from the ring or whatever have you. We don't know exactly, but I like it. It's just trying to be a different angle. And, probably what the best part of that breaking the fourth wall was seeing Shane McMahon.
Yeah, I was
back
going to say, seeing Shane, that was cool because you're like, oh, wait, hey, that's the SmackDown guy right there. That's the SmackDown general manager. What is he doing there?
That was kind of the big thing in breaking that fourth wall.
But what's weird though? And I was reading, I forget if it was on Forbes or they released the how much they make, like Vince, the whole McMahon family and Triple H. They released it where they said Shane's salary was only a talent salary, so he doesn't really have a corporate position like Triple H and Stephanie do, which I thought was kind of weird. I thought he was more involved that way. I know it sounds like he's obviously sitting there next to his father as a backstage producer, maybe, but he's not getting he doesn't have a corporate salary with it. I know he makes enough money as it is, but I just found it weird that out of all the McMahon family, he only gets talent. Like Triple H gets talent, plus he gets his corporate and he gets NXT.
I don't feel that Shane McMahon is hurting.
No, I'm not saying he's not hurting, but I just find it weird because I feel like he does a lot of work for WWE. He gets paid for it for sure, but I just thought it was funny where he only gets the talent pay. Yes, he is a talent. He is the general manager, but I always thought. Maybe I was never thinking it. Maybe I just thought of it differently, but I figured
it's still high though if he gets talent pay. If you're speaking, because he doesn't have to perform like talent. He literally just has to show up for the one TV show. Now he might also be expected to show up for Monday Night Raw, but either way, he's not making appearances at house shows.
Oh yeah, he's definitely he won't be at house shows.
Even for talent, he's ahead of the talent.
Obviously, if we see on Monday Night Raw that he was there, he's obviously working on Mondays and Tuesdays. And maybe he's at NXT. We don't know. Maybe they'll show that someday.
So where do you see this feud going? Obviously, the Monday wrestling this week, I felt in the 5 hours of main programming started strong and ended strong. And with Shane McMahon in the back getting beat up by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, where do you see that going? Do you see this still being a one-on-one match?
Triple threat.
But here's my problem with the triple threat is I feel that now is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, are they teaming up? How does that work? Is it still going to be a triple threat? Because at the end, it looked like they were back together.
Yeah, that's a tough angle.
So we're going to do another tag team match. It's going to be those two versus Shane and somebody else. Because I feel that's the problem we have here. I like Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I like that as a one-on-one match. And I wish, again, WrestleMania doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all. We could just have them wrestle at WrestleMania. And then if you want to add Shane's part into the mix, that could have been added after WrestleMania for the next pay-per-view. They didn't have to essentially be added now.
If they did a tag team angle, would they bring back like a Bobby Lashley or something? Oh, I have a special tag team partner, Bobby Lashley, because I believe his contract's up with Impact. Maybe something like that could happen.
But he has no part of this feud. That's the problem.
Yeah, but WWE puts things together so last minute that wouldn't surprise me.
And again, this kind of goes into the Shinsuke versus AJ match in which we don't want anything to tamper with that match.
Leave it alone.
I'm the same way with this Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn match. You forget, I know, because it's not huge on the radar and it's not, for a championship, but this is another match, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, which headlined NXT takeovers years ago. Well, yeah, this was huge.
Yeah, just
seeing them again at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's like Sasha and Charlotte at the NXT, and Bayley and Sasha at the NXT. I personally, I don't think.
I know the storyline makes it seem like this is just like AJ versus Shane last year, where it's not. But the actual match itself, if you get down to the core of it, you're like, hey, wait a minute, this is a really good match.
I would just leave it alone. I would just leave KO and Sammy and let them do their thing.
But what are you obviously going to do with Shane McMahon now? I mean, it's too late. You already opened the cookie jar.
You already opened the cookie jar, so it's you
can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You can't put him as special guest referee either, right? I mean, we saw how that worked out, where he was interfering in the pay-per-view at Fastlane, where Kevin Owens had the 1, 2, 3, and then Shane stops that, and then Sammy goes in for the 1, 2, 3. He does that. So would it be funny if he's like, well, you know what? Just to stick it to you guys, I'm going to be the referee. I mean, it would be kind of stupid, but I could see WWE doing something like that.
I mean, they went pretty far with Shane McMahon, so I feel he's got to be involved physically in some way or another. I don't feel that he's going to have just been completely beaten the way he has and then been like, I'm going to be the referee.
I don't know what he's going to do.
I mean, that was pretty brutal. One of the most brutal beatings we've seen on WWE programming in quite a while.
He made some weird noises, too.
Yeah, he was.
I was like, what? I'm like, he's really selling this really well, you know?
So,
what do you? I mean, let me ask you this: if you had your gut feeling, what do you think his involvement is at WrestleMania?
I feel it's probably going to do like a tag team. I feel it's going to be those two versus, and then might have another heel turn between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and that might set up a one-on-one match for a pay-per-view down the road. The next pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
They did. I think they did it wrong. I mean, yes, they sold it pretty well where they beat the crap out of Shane. I would have just left it alone. I would have left it at Sammy and Kevin at the WrestleMania and left it just at that. Because then you got that match. Then you would have Shinsuke versus AJ. Those two matches alone are pretty solid. You know?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I love these one-on-one matches. We don't have to tinker with them. We don't have to make them triple threats.
We don't need everybody on the card.
We don't need every match to be a multi-person match.
We don't need to throw.
I love one-on-one matches. I wish every match was a one-on-one match, except for tag teams, be a one tag team versus a one tag team match. I would love all of that to be.
See, I don't mind the tag team where they have like a TLC where it's like a triple threat tag team match for the championship.
If it warrants it, but I don't want to just see every tag team just to see every tag team. I don't want to see.
Throw them in.
Raw has 5 tag teams, so let's make it a fatal 5-way type thing. We don't need that.
You don't want to see Breezango, right?
I don't want to see Breezango. Final thoughts here. What do you want to see with the Braun Strowman thing when it comes to tag teams? You think he's going to face the Bar one-on-two?
You know what's going to happen? He's going to face the Bar 1-on-2, and he's going to be the first ever tag team champion by himself.
Teaming up with Elias, maybe?
I love Elias, but wouldn't it be cool to be a tag team? Would it be I mean, you would know this. You're the history guy. Would it be the first tag team champion by himself, by themselves?
I think yes.
That would be cool.
I remember a lot of times where there was, like the Kane versus Kane and Daniel Bryan. They were like taking credit. More or less. Maybe it was only one competed, but one was on the outside or something. A New Day kind of did the same thing where they kind of flip-flop. I don't think anyone's ever had
straight up one.
One shows up to the ring. One is a part of the team. Again, I've seen it before where maybe one shows up, but it's a part of a team. Like maybe American Alpha shows up, and the other one comes out in crutches. That kind of thing. I've never seen it where there's literally no other person.
I could see this
as named of the tag team.
I could see Braun Strowman becoming the first ever single competitor as a tag tag champion. How cool would that be?
And it would be interesting to see him then defend it down the line.
I know
it would be like this. What wrestling was back then, kind of like a sideshow, 1-on-2. Kind of this whole strongman competition thing.
But to your point, I wouldn't be surprised if Elias is involved because they had a hell of a match. Maybe they have some respect. I don't know. But here's the thing, though. Elias got his butt kicked, by Braun Strowman. So I don't know if I think he's just going to be involved in the battle royal. So to me, the angle I would go if I was WWE, I'd let Braun go by himself and have him beat the Bar by himself and make him look awesome and have him be the tag champion by himself.
All right, one final point. Fastlane going to the book except for the U.S. title match, which is the one we thought might be able to change hands, but everything else we wanted to go straight to the book. Champions defend against champions. Nothing. Or champions defend. No other championship changes to screw up any big matches at WrestleMania.
I think
good or bad. Did you like how Fastlane went right to the book? Did you like how we had AJ Styles win like we wanted to win? And
it wasn't going to go.
The tag teams keep their tag team, so we have the Usos as champs.
It wasn't going to go anywhere because it's a pay-per-view before WrestleMania. I'm okay with it. I mean, it's a good show. I will say this: it was good to see Randy Orton getting the championship. Which I wish we can go back on the record on the last podcast. I think I was 100% on every match last week.
I believe this might have been the only one we were 100%. And
I was going to say I think we agreed on every match, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think it was pretty clean.
The only one that we felt where a championship could change hands was the U.S. title, and that's the one that changed hands.
Yeah, and that was, I'm happy because Randy Orton now is the...
I didn't think it was going to change hands. I thought maybe we'd see Dolph versus Bobby Roode at WrestleMania, with the U.S. title, but...
Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton for the U.S. title is pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. And here's the thing. Are you pretty excited to see Randy Orton as the Grand Slam champion?
Grand Slam champion. He's had all the four. That stuff
cool.
doesn't really affect me too much because of the fact that having, and this is March Madness. Okay, this is NCAA tournament time. We are recording this right in the heart of the NCAA college men's basketball tournament. Okay. There are not really any college basketball teams out there that want to be Grand Slam champions. There's nobody out there who's a national champion. This is next year, let's go for the NIT. And the year after that, let's go for the CBI. We want to have all the postseason tournaments. They really, and the same with bowl games in college football. Nobody wants to be the champion of like every single bowl game. They would be fine if they were the 100-time Sugar Bowl champions and won the national championship.
You don't think it's cool,
if they had one of every one.
So wait, you don't like it? You don't care? I mean,
it's not that I don't. It adds intrigue that Randy Orton seems to care much about it. So I guess that is kind of cool because it seems like, to get somebody of his caliber who seems to be out of the loop and not really getting the pushes and the mainstream publicity like the John Cena's, the Brock Lesnar's, to kind of keep him happy is good.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Grand Slam champions don't happen all the time. I think there's only, 11, 12? Something like that? But I feel that if you were to ask even Randy Orton himself, would you rather be at Fastlane, would you rather us throw you in the world title match and make you world champion again or U.S. champion for a first time? He might say world champion again. I don't know. I think he might go United States champion because maybe it's the title that's eluded him all these years. Think about it that way.
Either way, I see that it does matter to him. He did say that. He says a lot. And I think he was speaking from the heart there when he was saying a lot in the business really doesn't matter. It's a grind. He works every single night, and he kind of just floats in the mid-card, which he's done. Even when he was champion last year at WrestleMania, it still seems like he's floating in the mid-card. I mean, because that match wasn't the main event, and then he ended up just taking on Jinder Mahal, which was a very forgettable feud because, many people want to forget Jinder Mahal was champion. But that whole feud with Bray Wyatt, the House of Horrors thing, I mean, it felt like what we called, quote-unquote, back in the day, the SmackDown champion, which is essentially like the third best champion. And
it's pretty, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, you're right. I mean,
so the fact that this is something unique to him that keeps him, him happy is probably what's important.
And I think it's good for the product too, because a guy of his caliber being on the mid card, I think it's good for business.
All right, that's going to do it for our first segment of the show. When we return, we got our social media portals, we got our tweet of the week, and on the road to WrestleMania, we have our WrestleMania Wednesday question of the week as well as our Twitter question of the week. So 2 questions of the week and our tweets of the week coming up, as this is the Heel to Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, iTunes, and on YouTube.
The New York Jets are rising and are ready to compete in the AFC. Boyd Green and Ty Butler will give you everything you need to know about the Jets every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. From reviewing the previous game and looking ahead to the next matchup, to all of the news and 4 downs, the Jet Zone has everything. Follow at BoydGreen25 and at Ty D. Butler on Twitter. Proud member of Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
This program is simulcast on WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Go to ratpacksports.com for more information.
Do you want to stay up to date on the latest sports news? Come check out After the Whistle from 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday night. We talk about the NHL, we talk about the NFL, we talk about the MLB, you name it, we got it. Tune in on Sports War Radio.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Let's get back to the action. This is the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio.
Heel to the Face podcast is back on the air. Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube. It's time for our social media portals of the week. We got a few this week. It is Wrestlemania month, so we got one to throw in for Wrestlemania month. So without further ado, let's get to it. So we start with our Twitter question of the week. Let's pull up our Twitter question of the week right now. We're not really that well prepared over here, but our Twitter question of the week. As of right now, so we were talking. Now, this I put out at the beginning of the week, so it seems a little bit dated, but hey, a lot of people were still very interested. So after Fastlane, I put this out as the Twitter question of the week on Monday morning, and that was, as of right now, there's no build of a rumored Ziggler versus Shane match, which still to this day has not been officially killed. People still on Monday morning, even after Fastlane, were saying, I still think it's going to be Dolph Ziggler versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. And as of this time, right now, here's the answers, I guess, with the rumored match and with no build, would you still like to see this WrestleMania? 30% said yes, they would like to see Ziggler versus Shane anyways. 10% said they would like to see a completely different match, meaning Shane McMahon probably not on the card. 40% would just like to see one less match, meaning if it's Shane versus Ziggler or no other match at all, like 15 matches versus 14 matches, let's just do that. And 20% would actually like to see a Kid Rock performance. Now, when I say Kid Rock performance, I think he's probably already going to do a performance. So maybe another song, a longer song.
Yeah, here's the thing. Why waste Dolph Ziggler? And actually, just to answer the question, I did just one less match because why waste Ziggler on Shane with Shane McMahon? I don't think that's a good idea. I think Ziggler is better than that. I mean, they obviously paid him a lot of money because before he was, like I've said before, he was one step out the door, and then they gave him a boatload of money to come back, and they got a new contract done. Why waste that opportunity to have him in his prime against Shane McMahon? I don't think they've built him the right way. But I could see it with Ziggler. I know we've already kind of talked about Shane before the break. I could see Ziggler going into that U.S. title match. I could see it.
I mean, that's how I thought it was going to be anyways.
Triple threat.
A while ago, I thought it was supposed to be Bobby Roode versus Ziggler because remember, quote-unquote, Ziggler never lost it. But, it'll
be a triple threat, I think, at WrestleMania. If they're going to use Ziggler, they're going to put him in that.
And again, we don't really know. We talked in just the previous segment on this exact show what we're going to do with Shane McMahon, how he's going to be thrown in. I would rather see one less match.
Yeah, in theory, it's the way that'd be the way to go.
One less match is the best because that means you're going to give something else more time. I would rather see something else get more time. I love Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon and The Undertaker, my two favorite opponents. When Shane McMahon or The Undertaker on the card, especially at WrestleMania, that's my favorite. But I feel this year is the one year where I don't want to see Shane McMahon wrestle. I don't want to see Undertaker wrestle. And the reason is not because I'm just sick of those guys, because I want to see him wrestle when I care. I want to see build. And if they don't have build, I don't want to just see him wrestle.
Are you going to add John Cena to that? Because I know you're a John Cena hater. Do you want him off of the WrestleMania card? Included, obviously, if you included Taker, obviously that would take the Taker Cena match out of play. Do you want to see Taker, Cena, and Shane not on the card at all?
I really wanted to see John Cena versus Rey Mysterio. I thought that was intriguing. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting enough. And would have kept John Cena on the card. I'll say this much. I was more interested in John Cena's, and this is sad because it's John Cena versus The Undertaker, once in a lifetime dream match. I was more interested in John Cena's involvement last year in his mixed tag match. And by the way, am I the only one that says this? This year's mixed tag match versus last year's big mixed tag match, which was John Cena versus The Miz. This year it's Kurt Angle versus Triple H with Ronda Rousey. This year's match, way better. Last year's match, though, way better build.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's the problem.
And that's the problem. Why can't this year's match have that build? Like, it just stinks because that match kind of sucked. but the build was awesome.
Hold on.
This year's match looks like it could be great.
Did you say the match kind of sucked? No, the match just really sucked.
Yeah.
They built it up, and it was.
We all just remember John Cena proposing to Nikki Bella at the end.
It was the match. The match itself was a turd. It was a dud.
Yeah,
but they built it like hell. Now, hopefully, you flip it to the Rousey, Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie. They haven't built it well. I'm hoping it's a hell of a match. I'm hoping Rousey's ready. I'm excited to see how she does in the
Ronda
square
Rousey.
circle.
It was funny because when she first came into WWE, a lot of people were saying she's going to be the female Brock Lesnar. And then all of a sudden people said, well, maybe not. She's going to be full-time. No, she easily just made herself the WWE's version of Brock Lesnar. Because if you remember a few weeks back, it was advertised from WWE that she would be on every single Monday Night Raw leading up to WrestleMania. She was not on Monday Night Raw this past week. And there's rumors that she will not be on Monday Night Raw next week. So far for the so much for the whole we're going to be on Raw every single week for Ronda Rousey.
I don't think she's going to be limited like Brock. I think she's going to be full time.
No, I don't think she's going to be limited because of the fact that they're not really going to main event too much with her. She's going to probably be limited like John Cena's limited, I guess. John Cena's not on every single show, but kind of like a John Cena's limited.
I could see that because she does movies too. I mean, yes. she's an actress now. She's acting in movies, so I can like that. I'm actually glad you said that. I think her schedule will be a lot like John Cena's.
So it is March, and what everyone does in March, I don't care if you're a verified Twitter account or an unverified Twitter account, or who you are in the YouTube world or the wrestling world, you do these lists. You do them whether you're in the NFL or the NBA. You do the comparisons. You talk back, whether you've done it before, whether you've never done it before. You do it all the time, and we're going to do it right now. This is our WrestleMania Wednesday question. Every single Wednesday, follow on our Twitter account. You will see me put out a new WrestleMania question. It might not be new. You might go back last year, and it might be the same one as last year, but we might re-ask it. That's what we're going to do. The good news is, every year we have WrestleMania. We have another WrestleMania to add to the historic pile of WrestleMania. So maybe WrestleMania 34 will be added to this question next year. So this week's question for WrestleMania Question Wednesday was, what is the worst WrestleMania of all time? And I put up the 3 consensus ones that most people say that come to mind: WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 11, and WrestleMania 27. And then I also put up other. So the results are 8% say WrestleMania 9, 50% say WrestleMania 11, 25% say WrestleMania 27, and 17% say other. I would love to hear what the other WrestleManias are on that list. We have some responses from our Twitter question. Rob Sanderson, who is a play-by-play guy in Illinois, responded, and a friend of the show, 11 was not as bad as it gets. Sad, just one. Well, it was as bad as it gets. Sorry. So he obviously voted for 11, and it's sad because it's 1 year after his favorite WrestleMania, WrestleMania 10, which was a good WrestleMania. And Andy Milanakis, a sports reporter from the southern tier of New York, said WrestleMania 11 seems to get worse with age. LT's love for breaking the law and Big Daddy Cool retaining isn't on my radar ever, but Pam Anderson and Jenna McCarthy helped the show. So the 2 responses we had said WrestleMania 11 didn't really give us too much for who said the other.
Yeah, I was gonna say what were the other ones? I'll say
WrestleMania 11. I agree with them. That was my vote. Worst WrestleMania of all time.
I'll be honest. I couldn't tell you what the card was for WrestleMania 11. I was a young lad back then. So I mean, out of the ones I remember,
he also doesn't know that George Washington wasn't president because he wasn't alive then.
I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't watch it. I've never seen WrestleMania 11. Maybe I'll go back and watch it just to see how bad it really was.
Here's why it was bad, and here's why I will tell you why it was bad. WrestleMania 27 and WrestleMania 9 were also both bad WrestleManias, and what they failed in their problems were they had not great matches. WrestleMania 11 was bad and this is, a lot of people who know me, I'm a big optics person. I'm a big presentation person. This wrestling podcast is all about just the details.
Really?
And WrestleMania 11 fell on the details. WrestleMania 9 and WrestleMania 27 both had the WrestleMania caliber details. It might have been crappy matches, but WrestleMania 27 was in front of 67,000 people in a dome and hyped up, and WrestleMania, and it felt like WrestleMania by the venue and the presentation. WrestleMania 9, similar. It was outdoors. It had the presentation. It was unique. WrestleMania 11 had the presentation of In Your House 3. It was of all the WrestleManias, it still to this day holds up as the worst venue and the worst location for a WrestleMania, and I hope to God I will probably stop watching wrestling if it ever gets this bad again because of where we currently are with our WrestleMania venues. If they ever go back to Hartford, Connecticut in the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut, in front of 12,000 people. Forget the venue. I know we always give crap to the venue in Chicago, but half of that is Chicago. This is crappy venue in crappy city. This is a place where if you were to say, I'm going to WrestleMania, and somebody said, I'm not a big wrestling fan, where is this WrestleMania, Super Bowl of wrestling? And you told them, it's in Hartford, Connecticut, at the home of the UConn women's basketball team.
They're gonna laugh at
they
you.
would say, this wrestling thing must not be that big of a deal. If their largest event, no offense, Ring of Honor is having that all-in event, they're at least going to be in Chicago. They're not picking Milwaukee. They're not picking Tacoma, Washington. That's what this is. And that's, so right there, you have the venue. You had Madison Square Garden for 10. You had Hollywood, California, and the Anaheim Pond and the Hollywood Hype for WrestleMania 12. And then in between, you had Hartford, Connecticut. And I don't care how close it is to New York City. It's Hartford, Connecticut, and the venue holds 12,000 people. And I don't care that they had Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Pam Anderson and all these other people that had nothing to do with wrestling at the event. It still was, if you went to it, nothing on television, whether you watch on the network or you watch it live, looks like WrestleMania. I mean, it looks like maybe the Royal Rumble or Survivor Series at the time. It just looks like a 1995 pay-per-view. And that is also to the fact that it's pretty unanimous. The 1995 is one of the worst years in WWF history, WWE history. Some of the worst pay-per-views, some of the worst matches, some of the worst feuds, some of the worst characters. So WrestleMania 11 is a WrestleMania for that year, and it kind of, like I said, the location personifies that. I mean, you say this is the worst wrestling year in WWF history. Here's an example. That year's WrestleMania was in Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'll be honest. I couldn't tell you what was on the show. I mean, aside from
LT versus Bam Bam Bigelow was not on the card. It was the main event, and obviously we have celebrity involvement every single year. We have Snooki, and we have
Speaking of, actually, it's funny you say that. Speaking of Snooki, she was at WrestleMania 27, which was one of the choices. That's the one I chose.
Yes.
I mean, here's the thing.
But she was not in the main event.
No, the main event sucked. It was Miz versus Cena when Miz wasn't that great. I mean, if it was Miz versus Cena now, I mean, obviously we had the mixed challenge.
It was back when Miz was like
we had that mixed
Jinder
match last
Mahal's
year,
equivalent of Miz at the time. Like, what is he doing? Why are they giving him this push? He was Jinder Mahal last week.
If it was Miz now versus Cena then, like you put them, the two different time frames, that's a hell of a match. I'm in. But Miz was not ready for that. To me, I love Miz. I think Miz is one of the best workers in the business, and he'll tell you that too anyways. But he should not have been the champion at that point.
It was a transitional WrestleMania to just get you hyped for WrestleMania 28. And
Michael Cole versus Jerry the King?
And they gave that like 25 minutes. And it ended up being Michael Cole winning by like some sort of stupid technicality. So it wasn't even just like a match, but they made it worse than it already was. If it was a straight up match, it wouldn't have been good. But then they add to the garbage and they make it a technicality that Michael Cole technically wins, via the anonymous GM. You're like, give me a break.
Longest match on the card, Taker Triple H, about 30 minutes.
I mean, all these WrestleManias have like a good match. WrestleMania 11 had Shawn Michaels versus Diesel for the world title, which was a good match.
Yeah, Triple H Undertaker, that was a good match.
Yes.
The rest, I mean, to me, from top to bottom, it just sucked. During my fanhood of being a wrestling fan, the earliest memories of my wrestling life, I would say probably were like during that really bad era, 1995, but I would say more 96, 97 is really where I got into it. So since then, 27 to me is the worst.
Yes. 27 is bad. That's why I put it on the list. 9 is bad to many people, and 11 is bad. 11 is my choice, like I said. Just all around the fact that the main event was the celebrity involvement. And here's the thing. Not just, forget the fact that it was celebrity involvement. This wasn't Bam Bam Bigelow versus the top star. So it wasn't celebrity involvement like, let's say, Brock Lesnar. Let's say he's a celebrity and he's taking on Roman Reigns or John Cena or some big star. This was Bam Bam Bigelow. So his opponent was a mid-card WWE guy. So it wasn't like it was Lawrence Taylor versus Kevin Nash. It wasn't Lawrence Taylor versus The Undertaker. It wasn't like, or it
Lawrence
wasn't
Taylor
celebrity
versus Stone Cold.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't that. like Mike Tyson's celebrity involvement, being in the main event, that's fine because the WWF, the quote unquote superstars that were in the match were the top level. You put Bam Bam Bigelow, forget Lawrence Taylor, you put Bam Bam Bigelow in who has, in my eyes, only appeared, if I can get down to the details, one other WrestleMania. It was like WrestleMania 4. I think he was in that tournament. Like early on, he lost. Other than that, he wasn't even on cards. At any WrestleMania 10, he wasn't on the card. WrestleMania 12, he wasn't on the card. But WrestleMania 11, he main evented. Bam Bam Bigelow main evented an event that he wasn't even on the card at any other one.
Yeah, that's not good.
So that right there shows you. So forget just giving Lawrence Taylor the grief, but the fact that it was against Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, that's that's bad.
So, and again, all taking place at the wondrous, the huge. I mean, we just had WrestleMania at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and rumors are next year it's going to be at MetLife Stadium in New York City, and it's been at Staples Center, and it's been in Miami's Pro Player Stadium. It's been in front of the largest crowds in sports.
They should put it in Gillette, near Boston. That would be cool.
I mean, and this year it's in the Superdome, which has hosted Super Bowls and Final Fours. But for 1 year, it was in a place that, to my recollection nowadays, wouldn't even be good enough really to host a first round NCAA tournament matchup. I mean, it's what is currently today a minor league hockey arena. And again, it's not a minor league hockey arena in a large city where they're selling the city, like a minor league hockey arena in Los Angeles or a minor league hockey arena in New York City. It was a minor league hockey arena in a minor league hockey town. Yes, at the time they still had the Hartford Whalers, who were of the NHL. Okay, so they were an NHL team at that time. But regardless of having an NHL team, it was a minor league town.
Yeah, now it's Hartford Wolfpack, right?
Yes, yeah. But it still was at the time a minor league town. That was their only professional team. They lost them because of the fact that they were like the Green Bay Packers or the Winnipeg Jets. They were a city that was holding on to something that it really wasn't big enough to have.
Well, the Packers are one of the exceptions to the rule.
But they're holding on to him because of prestige, and that's why the Whalers were holding. The actual city itself is not holding on to him because if the Green Bay Packers left Green Bay, a new team would not probably move into Green Bay.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
There's no chance in hell that would happen.
If Utica had an NBA team for the last 100 years, what would keep Utica, New York in the NBA with the fact that they had an NBA team for 100 years? They would not be new market. Nobody would pick them as a new market.
Yeah,
they would be like,
if that team left,
yeah,
they wouldn't be like, coming in 2020.
Yeah,
no, that won't happen.
Just like Hartford, they keep bringing new NHL teams all over.
Think of it
They're
this way.
not getting their NHL team back.
Think of it this way: where do we record our show? In Syracuse. Back in the day, the Syracuse Nationals. Now the Philadelphia 76ers. Once they left, in which they played in the War Memorial, by the way. Back in the day, they were a great team. Once they moved down to Philly, do you think the NBA ever said, "Oh yeah, Syracuse is a great place to be, a great market for an NBA team"? No, it's not. They do the exhibitions once in a while because we have the dome, but besides that, it's one of those. It's
not a major league city.
That's not a major league city. I mean, I love Syracuse. I mean, we have a lot of great things here. I mean, how many places can put 30,000 into a college arena for basketball? But besides that, it's not an NBA town.
Yes, and Hartford is not a major league town as well.
Yeah,
and they have a AA baseball team, an AHL hockey team, and and they have a college in the area, University of Connecticut. But that's as good as it gets. They should not be hosting WrestleMania. Agreed. It is not a resort town. Essentially, it is not a place where if I lived in Los Angeles, I would want to get on a flight
destination
and stay 4 or 5 days in Hartford, Connecticut.
I'm not doing that
unless I had an insurance meeting. And I worked at Geico or something, and I had a board meeting.
Is the Hartford actually there? I would assume
Hartford is the insurance. Hartford and Columbus, Ohio, are the two insurance capitals of the country. That is their quote unquote claims to fame, that they have a lot of insurance companies. So not really known as like Orlando, known as being the vacation capital of the country. Hartford, Connecticut is known as having the most insurance offices.
That's a big seller.
Nobody ever said, I promise you, I would love to spend 4 or 5 days in Hartford, Connecticut.
What are you going to do? Like go to the insurance convention,
I think they have a screen door factory that'd be cool to check out. So now we move on to our tweets of the week. Brandon, we will start with you. What is your tweet of the week?
All right, so my tweet of the week, I went back to the well, WWE Creative Humor. This was a good one this week. So he tweets out, "We hope at Jeff Hardy brand will return soon, and just to be safe, we will provide him with an Uber from now on. # travel woes." I think that's in relation to
his DWI on Saturday night.
Good timing there, Jeff. I know he's had his issues with substance abuse. I mean, it was a fun little joke, but in all seriousness, we obviously we hope he keeps getting the help that he needs, and I hope he's at WrestleMania. To be honest, selfishly,
Jeff Hardy's DWI was a reminder of, oh yeah, that's why he wasn't in WWE for all those years.
With that,
you're like, where did he go?
Well,
yeah, that's why.
Well, he had. I think that and a combination of different drugs too. He had issues with like painkillers and stuff too. So hopefully, maybe this will wake him up more and get him back on track, because I think he has a family, so he's got to. He's got to do his thing. So hopefully we see him at WrestleMania. I mean, do you think this DWI changes things for WrestleMania?
Well, I don't really see that he has a reason to be at WrestleMania. So I wouldn't. If he's there, he's in the Battle Royal. Other than that, I don't even see him. I don't see him at WrestleMania.
What's your tweet of the week?
My tweet of the week might be my best tweet of the week ever. It definitely has the most amount of people involved in it.
You've had a lot of good ones too.
And this one has a lot of people involved. 4 people involved. It's not just a tweet of the week. It's a Twitter thread of the week. So WrestleMania's official Twitter account this past week put out what we all saw on Monday Night Raw, is that they were going to be debuting a women's version of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania called the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal. And as of recording time, that name has changed to just the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal because of a lot of backlash against the fact that the Fabulous Moolah, while very well known for being a trailblazer in the women's division, has a very sordid past as a human being. And in the day and age where the Me Too movement and Time's Up and all these women's rights and other things that are, let's say, pro-female movements, and which women's wrestling is, to honor somebody like the Fabulous Moolah, who at best case scenario, meaning if you take the rumors very lightly, she was just a greedy worker, kept other women down. If anybody ever tried to compete with her, she would sabotage their careers in some way so that she would be the one woman 50 years later that we remember from that time period, and never let anyone else rise up through the ranks. Now, if you believe all the rumors, and there are some reputable women's sources who have said this, the Fabulous Moolah not just kept women down, but was also a female pimp, if you will, a sex trafficker with her husband at the time in the business, Buddy Lee, and getting women to either sell themselves to other wrestlers sexually or sell themselves to outside people as well. So as Brandon was trying to tell me earlier, a madame or a madame?
Yeah, I think it's like madame, I think it is.
A female pimp. That's the dumbed down version to say that.
So think of it this way, the female version of the Godfather's character.
So essentially, in a time where we are trying to honor women in a more respectable light, and again, with the Me Too movement, Time's Up, all these other women's rights issues are going on and coming to the forefront, many people did not find it very reputable that they would name this battle royal after the Fabulous Moolah. So as I said, it has changed, but on Monday night, WWE WrestleMania's official Twitter account put out the fact that they were going to call this the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal, in which Joe Mallard put out, when is the Chris Benoit Ultimate Submission match? And then, and you can find him at Joe Mallard on Twitter. And then he was responded to by Khalid at PizzaBoy31615 after the Jimmy Snuka Cruiserweight tournament. We all know the issues recently happened with Jimmy Snuka and being issued he had to defend himself against murder and got essentially away with it in a hotel room. Then that was responded to by S.A.H at SAHTPW1 on Twitter. And just before the Enzo Amore Memorial Take the Beatdown Challenge. And then finally, that was responded to by Sky Potato Pan at Sky Potato Pan. All events above will be promoted by the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior Diversity Foundation.
Oh, my God. These people are savages. By the way, Twitter handles are very interesting as well.
Very interesting Twitter handles. One of the guys didn't even feel like putting up a picture, but the responses were just, I mean, it was one after another. Golden. And pretty much so if you didn't know anything about Fabulous Moolah, those responses obviously show you exactly why we shouldn't be honoring those people. Honoring her the same reason we don't respond or represent or honor any of the people in the tweet that I sent out.
So that was a quick retraction by WWE.
It was a couple days. In fact, there was words that for the first couple days they were just censoring anybody who had anything bad to say about it, deleting their tweets essentially, until they eventually went forward and decided to change it. In fact, Stephanie McMahon, while we're on the Twitter subject, decided to put down on Twitter today, which is Thursday, March the 15th, that she listened to the fans and listened to the voices of the fans, and that is why they didn't want to disparage anything that has to do with this battle royal. You know, that's the whole idea, is to raise women up. So they have decided to change the name to the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal.
Why couldn't it be like the Trish Stratus Battle Royal?
You know, I probably think the reason is because of the fact they didn't see the backlash coming, and when the backlash came, they had to think quickly, and it was probably too quick to make another trophy. Which, be honest with you, a lot of people said the trophy just looked like Andre the Giant with a wig.
Fair. That's
so the question is, are they still going to hand out the trophy? Now, what do they do with the trophy?
Honestly,
that's going to go into the WWE warehouse. I want to see that like 20 years down the road on YouTube, you know, in the WWE warehouse of like, what is that? You know, some weird, random,
object,
you know, foreign thing in the world of professional wrestling that's got quite a history to it, I guess, if you will. Be very interesting to see where that trophy goes, if they just destroy it or throw it into the annals of time as one of those quirky things in the world of professional wrestling of what could have been.
Absolutely.
But the name has changed. Our name has not changed. We're not offending anybody except for maybe the heels and the faces. But those are just wrestling terms. Nobody personally. As you have been listening to the Heels of Face podcast, that is going to do it for this week's edition of the show. For Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, for myself, Jared Wicks. Once again, this has been the Heels of Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube.